Back in 19, I'm rage tweeting about how undervalued women's soccer is. I'm saying I'm going to start a team, now Angel City, which will one day be worth at least $1 billion. I'm always framing all the things I'm doing, or now in Athlos, with the capitalist vision.
Alexis Ohanian isn't just known for Reddit. Now he's shaking up the world of women's track and field. Today, he spells out his vision for a new kind of sports league that keeps the Olympic magic alive every week, spotlighting incredible female athletes who deserve the limelight all year long. Find out why he's betting big on women's sports and what that means for fans and investors alike. Thank you so much for being here, Alexis Ohanian, a Brooklyn native.
Yeah, represent Fort Greene.
Obviously co-founder of Reddit, founder
right.
of 776,
Yes.
many other things. You are here this week, though, for Athlos.
Yes.
Tell us what it is, what's going on.
During the Olympics last year, I kept getting so excited by these stories of track and field. And there's a legacy of excellence, especially among the American women in track and field. And these athletes are so captivating, so exciting. It's one of the most watched sports of the Olympics. And then they disappear for 4 years. And I was tired of that because I want to see this kind of excellence on display regularly. And so we started Athlos last September here in New York at Icon. 3 million people tuned in all across the world. And we had a packed crowd of folks Friday night in New York under the lights, DJ spinning in between each meet, and record cash prize money. So we're running it back again this year. We added a field event, the long jump, which is literally going to be in Times Square on Thursday night, open to the public.
So why track and field? You know, I feel like that's not a sport that gets a lot of love in the U.S.
That's exactly the reason. There's a ton of talent here in the U.S., but it's not really elevated outside of those Olympic Games. And we want to put them on the biggest stages we can, in prime time. We want to make it a spectacle. And now you know, especially from these shorter races, but even the mile, it doesn't take very long. So your return on investment for your attention is phenomenal. You are locked in. You don't want to blink because you might miss these ladies.
It's interesting hearing you talk about this because obviously your background is social media, and now we have social media attention spans
Yes.
that are like shorter than a goldfish. And so it sounds like you're really trying to create a new modern kind of sporting event.
You nailed it.
I want to touch on, because obviously you've been very intentional about investing in women's sports.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
And now it's interesting, the valuations for women's sports are climbing. How much for you is this opportunity about obviously encouraging gender parity, but also about maybe getting a big return on something that hasn't had the same investment that men's sports have?
Tennis is the one that actually has the parity, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the list of the most wealthy female athletes, they're
Naomi Osaka,
superstars.
yep.
Yes, they are already superstars. They're making great money. Shout out to Billie Jean King for creating that pay equity, and then that's what galvanized two little girls from Compton to decide to play the sport and change the world forever. So it starts with that. And so the viewers don't lie. Look at ESPN, even to this day, will report that more Americans watch the US Open women's final than the men. And even if there's no Williams sister, even if there's no American woman, more Americans watch it. So the mic's dropped. Everyone knows women's tennis is as big a deal, as important, as relevant, as valuable as men's. But why not these other sports? And a lot of it was, there wasn't a Billie Jean King, or there wasn't all of these forces at play. And so, back in 19, I'm rage tweeting about how undervalued women's soccer is. I'm saying I'm going to start a team, now Angel City, which will one day be worth at least $1 billion. I'm always framing all the things I'm doing, or now in Athlos, with the capitalist vision of I believe in these athletes, I believe in the business of these athletes, and we're going to work with them. You'll notice our biggest stars in Athlos are shareholders in what we're doing. They're stakeholders, just like everyone else who's working on it. Once the free market shows up and folks can correct this with some investment, boy, does it change quick. And the follower counts don't lie. Like that, for me as a social media guy, I didn't care what the TV ratings of these sports were, because those were all lagging indicators of where people thought the value was. I was looking on the free market of the internet, where Instagram, like it or not, is the biggest market for attention. And if you have 5 million followers on Instagram, you have value. And if you start looking at the college stars in basketball especially, you could already see that they crushed the men in college basketball. And so all it took was that catalyst, and obviously Caitlin, but also Paige and Angel, and all these stars that people, again, follow, they talk about, they care about. If you were just based on the lagging indicators, you would say, oh, no one cares about this sport. But if you're looking at the leading indicators, like social media following, you'd realize real quick, as I did, that there's a ton of interest.